stadium experience has always been about more than just a game. It's about the atmosphere, the community, and the shared excitement of being part of something bigger. With sporting events attendance finally bouncing back post the COVID period, I think there's a growing need amongst venues to enhance fan engagement and ensure that the stadium experience is as positive and enjoyable as possible. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Analytics Insight podcast, where we talk about the ever evolving technology space. And I'm your host, Priya Dayalan. Whether it's the thrill of ordering food from a seat or the joy of sharing a new game winning moment with friends, technology is stepping up to the plate, transforming the ways fans interact with the game and also with each other. I think people have always had a passion for sports, and now digital technologies are offering new and exciting ways to enjoy them, transforming the fan experience and driving fans to the stadiums and also converting more and more online viewers. So, how is technology exactly making sports more enticing? Today with us, we have Sanket Sawkar, COO and Group CTO of Sports Interactive, a global fan engagement company that specializes digital experience in the sporting field. Hi, Sanket, how are you doing?
Hi, Priya. Thanks for the introduction. I'm well. How are you?
Glad. I'm good too. Thank you. And it's a pleasure to have you with us on our podcast today. So let's kickstart by telling our listeners more about the company, Sports Interactive, its specialization, and any specific service that you typically focus on.
Sure. So, Sports Interactive is, I would like to give certain analogies. When you talk about the ed tech space or the food tech space, there are certain brands that you already identify them with. Sports Interactive is synonymous to sports tech. So everything around sports data, technology, and content is what Sports Interactive offers. And for our customers, it's about maximizing fan affinity and commercialization. So we are not an IT services company, but somebody who comes from a product engineering culture where we build, tech systems, solutions for, sports teams, leagues, federations, broadcasters, OTT platforms, technology companies, gaming platforms, and license them out to them. But the ultimate consumer of what we are building is the sports fan, like you and me, right? So while we are a B2B company, what we are eventually building or for whom we are building is the sports fan. And there are three business verticals that answer the overarching vision that I said is building fan affinity and delivering commercialization to our customers. So one of our business verticals is the data and video tech business vertical, where everything around sports data, feeds, analytics, marrying artificial intelligence to data and video technology to create automated highlights, creating automated video content at scale, visualizing data, delivering this data across the world. So those are things that we do in data and video tech. Then we've got interactive solutions where a lot of fan engagement, which are heavily, fan interactive products are what we build, such as websites, apps, gamification solutions. There are, fan loyalty and reward programs, a bunch of integrations that happen in the digital space. So everything around fan engagement, including building of fantasy games, quizzes, predictors, are what we do with interactive solutions. And the third vertical is content management, where we provide the end-to-end content strategy, whether that's long form, short form, social media content, campaigns, video production of content, writing and producing shows. So all that we do under content production. So that's the way to look at our business, and those are the services we offer.
Right. I think it's very fascinating to listen as to how probably innovations are engaging fans in new ways and driving the sports industry forward, and also like making more sports as like a more favorite activity for like players and teams and leagues for even like a normal end consumer, like you mentioned. So, having said that, can you also tell us more about your role being a CEO and group CTO? What are your contribution towards the company, or probably if you can expand more about the role?
Sure. So I joined Sports Interactive as a founding member. So way back in 2002 is when we were formed officially. So since then I've been and I've grown with the organization. So that's over 2 decades now with them. And I joined in as a junior engineer. But in my current role, I am responsible for setting our technology vision. Technology is an evolving landscape, and there isn't one size or one answer to a host of other problems and challenges that you have. So, having a roadmap for what this technology vision looks like, today, tomorrow, over the next 3 years is what is important. So that's one thing I look at. The other is the execution of the product roadmap. For a product company that we that I mentioned to you about, it's important that we have a roadmap so that people, just from a belief of what it is that an organization like SI is bringing to the table, it's important to show them what's there on the horizon. So it's not just enough to have what you've built, but how's that going to help over the next 2 years, 3 years? Because when someone's investing, it's not on just that product, but that they're taking you along in their journey as well. So having a roadmap is extremely critical. So that's the other aspect that I look at. The third is process improvement. As an organization, when we were much smaller, managing processes were relatively simpler. And now those challenges as we grow to, a 700 member organization is very daunting. And things that you would take at face value, now you need a lot of rigor to make sure that there are processes in place that do that. So process improvement is the next, pillar that I focus on. The fourth one being operations management of our critical systems. So, like I talked about, data feeds and things around live sport, and so these are systems where we can't afford downtime. It's basically 24/7, 365. There is some sport happening in some corner of the world, and SI is covering it, and we cannot experience downtime there. And hence, how are these systems built to scale? How are these systems robust, fault tolerant, fail safe? So the overall operations management of all of these systems is what I look at as well. So I would say broadly these four buckets is what takes up most of my time. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing us and talking more about your role and the contributions. When we're talking about the sports industry, I think the collective energy and excitement of a traditional in-venue sport viewing still remains high, especially once we have recouped from the COVID pandemic era. Of course, but there's a larger fan base that finds the convenience or outside the venue home viewing experience more comfortable and enjoyable. But as technology is enhancing the viewing experience, I think many fans prefer consuming sports content over smartphones or streaming platforms for that matter, or even through social media. Also, like continuous technological advancements that are happening in devices or even the low latency internet connectivity like the 5G have made like high quality sports content more accessible and without any streaming interruption. So I want to know what are your views on the current landscape of technological integration that helps deliver personalized fan digital experiences. How do you think the current landscape is?
Right. I think the landscape of when you talk about personalization, that has evolved over a period of time. And several factors have contributed to that. I think people, when I say people, it's the platform owners are realizing that it's not just the in-venue presence when it comes to when it comes to sport, but digital is huge. And understanding who this user is, who this fan is extremely critical. And then how do you provide those personalized fan experiences for somebody on digital so that they keep coming back? All of that is sort of the name of the game at this point. So personalized experiences right now, when I say personalized experiences, I'm talking about on digital, which is a combination of owned and operated platforms such as websites and apps and social media. It's a combination of all of these. I think content owners initially were okay with their user base or their fan base consuming content on social. But I think what they realized is they were losing out on knowing their fan better, because what is happening is I'm signing up onto these social media platforms, I'm giving them the access, etc. But I'm engaging on their platform eventually. So what does a sports team, league, a federation or a broadcaster or an OTT platform get if everything is going to happen on social? So this is where one of those things started about knowing the fan better, and hence tailoring that entire journey and personalizing that. So going back to what I started off by saying, today's personalized fan experiences on digital are a combination of what you will see on owned and operated platforms such as websites and apps, which with all rights holders have, and social media presence. And there is a lot of amount of, vast amounts of data which is being collected across fan behavior, preferences, demography, how am I engaging with the product, and so on and so forth. And this coupled with, the analytics measurement tools of today, and, platforms such as CDPs, which are customer data platforms, helps streamline the collection of a lot of this data. And then you are able to act on these. There are actionable insights which then lead to personalization. They help with data driven decision making at the end of the day. Key, all of this data is coming in, and you need to also have the right tools to be able to make sense of this data. So personalizations, in the journey towards personalization, the important aspect right now is, while these tools exist, how do you make sense of all of this information? And okay, once you've made sense of this information, how are you going to reach out to them? So you've got personalized notifications. There is content which is tailored for a specific cohort of users, right? There are gamification strategies, there are fan votings which are enabled, there are score updates which are all targeted to certain cohorts of users. So for example, for a certain app that I may have, there are certain preferences, like, let's say I'm a Virat Kohli fan. Now either I can determine that through my behavior as to how I'm consuming content and building a profile on it on the back end, or I am consenting the user permission, and taking a data point saying who's your favorite player, and he supplies me with Virat Kohli. So I know there is this data point that exists, and from then on, whenever he comes onto the platform, or whenever there is something which is specific to Virat Kohli, how does that information reach out to him? How does the communication be personalized? Let's say Virat hits a century, and immediately there is a merchandise on offer, which just would help amplify the fact that okay, there is interest, there is 100 hit by Kohli, so why don't I send Sanket a notification to buy a jersey which has got 30% off. It's just a moment in time. Right now he's hit a century, I want to be able to reach out to Sanket, who I know is a fan of Virat Kohli, and send and make him buy this jersey. So that's how personalization is now evolving. It's like the entire journey of acquiring the fan to retaining, and then how do you monetize that. So those are the strategies at play now, and those are what we are seeing evolve in the digital landscape.
Right, I think a lot goes into when it comes to delivering personalized digital experiences, fan experiences, and when we're talking about devices or developments, I think today people are not using apps just for checking scores or watching replays. I think they are more looking for an immersive and an exciting experience, and that's where I guess personalization and digitized experience come into picture. So I think in a modern era, if I want to brief it up, is like technology is no longer like a luxury, or people like the convenience that it offers, and it's now playing an essential part of our daily lives. And I think sports is also one of that aspect, because sports enthusiasts are also looking for ways of how they can engage with the fan or fan base, and how they can augment every aspect of the game day experience. So while we're talking about all of these things, and how innovations are changing the dynamics of the sports industries, or how people are viewing and enjoying the sports content, can you also highlight some of the latest innovation your company has introduced to enhance fan engagement and make the viewing experience more enjoyable and immersive?
Sure. So there are a couple of things that I can call out. So one of them is, the automated clips and highlights, where we are marrying computer vision, data, and video technology to create personalized video content at scale. Now, what does this even mean? So earlier, you just had broadcast, and a fan would watch a game of cricket or football or whatever that sport is. And towards the end, once the game is over, there is a highlights package that used to be made available to him. Then again, we moved on to OTT, and maybe a similar workflow or a similar mindset existed, saying, okay, uh, a game is over, now let's put out these highlights, which is, one or two in a game of cricket, for example. But then the demands and the reach of platforms has meant that there's a lot of content that is available to be consumed, but nobody's making them available right now, or at least the existing operations and the way these types of content were created uh, was very different. Now, when it comes to broadcasters and OTTs, what everyone realizes is the uh, amount of content that can be created, which otherwise was sort of painfully difficult because there was a lot of human intervention. There used to be an editor that would spend hours, going through footage of a match. In a typical ODI game, which lasts for about 8 hours, one editor would tip one or two editors, video editors would typically go about watching the entire game, making sense of what's happening, compiling all of that manually, and then at the end of it, putting together a 24 minutes highlights package. What has happened now is, a combination of multiple technologies, advancements in technologies. One of them, I would want to call out is, deep learning models in computer vision. There are, the aspects of data, or what kind of data is being captured, and the advancement in video technology itself has meant that a lot of things which were done manually can now be fully automated. So you don't need a human to see to watch an entire game of cricket or football for that matter and say this is a perfect clip, this is the right start, this is the right end, this is a four, etc., etc. Machines and automations are taking this call for you. So one of the things that SI has been an innovator of is automated highlights and clips. Like I said, where all of these are coming together and we are able to create this content at scale. So no longer it is one or two highlights packages, right? It is literally every significant event that is occurring within a few seconds of that occurring in the real world, a highlights clip or a package of that is available for consumers of our products to make use of them. So they could be these are rule based at the end of the day. So you could specify rules saying I would like to see, and again Virat Kohli, my favorite player, I would take his example again. I would say I want to see all the boundaries hit by Virat Kohli in the cover region today, and within seconds I'll get a compilation of that exactly. Right? Earlier you didn't have the flex to do that. So this is one of the innovations that I wanted to talk about. The other is innovative forms of second screen engagement. Now, second screen experiences are what you would typically experience with fans that are watching a game, but at the same time are also hooked onto either an app or a tablet or something where they are engaging in banter, chatting with friends, etc. And so to complement that behavior, there have been a few products that we've introduced. One of them being, contextual predictive questions. So as the game is unfolding, it is not just who's going to win the match, but basis the context of the game, it is going to ask you smart questions. Now it could be as simple as how many runs would be scored in the next over to will Virat Kohli get to 20 in this match, or will Jasprit Bumrah bowl a maiden in the next over. So there are various possibilities with this contextual predictions. So we are able to do this because we are able to create this at scale, right? It's easy to come up with these questions, one or two questions per match, but we are covering thousands of games, and there are unlimited permutations and combinations on the back of data that we have to infer and to come up with these smart questions that can fuel any form of predictor games, real money games that do these micro predictions, and games such as bingo, where we've taken the concept of bingo, where you get a ticket, and there's a host that announces certain numbers, and you go and mark those numbers on a ticket. We've taken that and adapted to sport, for example. So let's say there's a football match happening between your favorite teams, and at the start of it, you are given a ticket, and that ticket is nothing but events which are likely to happen, like a red card or assist by a player, or something. Any event that happens in that is likely to happen in that game is presented to you as events. And as a fan, when you're watching this game, and if this event happens in the real world, you have about 5 to 10 seconds to actually go and claim that event, which means you are on the platform. While you are watching the game, we are also gamifying that experience for you. So we've got such second screen engagement levers, like I said, of this bingo game, a team picker where you just create your team of what do you think would be today's IPL team for Bangalore, for example, right? Your team of 11. So yeah, these innovative forms of second screen engagement and the automated clips time highlights is what I would say are some of the innovations that we are very excited about at Sports Interactive.
That's quite interesting to hear and understand how you guys are basically enhancing the overall fan engagement and experience and increasing the interaction with the use of technology, definitely. And I think a lot of things are also changing in terms of getting real-time updates, and artificial intelligence is used in obtaining game player information while viewing a match live, and watching 360-degree video replays or previous games. I think IPL broadcast now also allows spectators to view a match from multiple camera angles and use like a chat feature to engage with other fans during matches. So it's changing the dynamics of fan engagement, definitely. So while you mentioned about the different innovations that Sports Interactive has introduced, so is there like a strategy or what drives innovation at the company? I wanted to understand, is there any notable partnerships or collaborations you have done, or do you follow like a step-by-step guide to foster innovation and drive innovation in the company?
Okay, that's a very good question. I think innovation is also one of the values at Sports Interactive. And to foster innovation, you need to obviously spend a lot of time, because you eventually get caught up with operational pressures, and you need to make time for these innovations. So, from a collaborations and partnerships perspective, I think what I want to call out is one of the things when it comes to driving innovation is to understand whether this is something that SI can build themselves, or given time constraints, are we better off partnering with someone? So, the general philosophy is to be agnostic, not to any one particular partnership or collaboration, but first analyze what's out there, because there are a lot of technology vendors. There are platforms which are already doing something, so why reinvent the wheel? So while we want to drive innovation, we also want to be cognizant of not reinventing the wheel. And that is where we've taken certain strategic decisions of where we would want to collaborate with different verticals across CDPs, which are customer data platforms, streaming platforms, interactive live streaming platforms, or media asset management solutions, or data feeds, to name a few.
Right. I think I wanted to know more about when you spoke about operational pressure. So, while we are definitely like the entire industry is moving towards adopting technological innovations in terms of improving the fan experience, but I also believe conversely, like we do have certain challenges, like attracting that specific talent in the industry that can drive the explosion of this digital innovation is, I think, a major challenge in terms of the sports organization. I feel it's like a very tricky amalgamation, like the sports and technology, and the skill set needed to execute such modern fan engagement strategy, particularly around the use of data. It's getting more advanced than ever before. So you need those typical skill sets. And also, when social media platform offer opportunities for direct, fan engagement. They're also presenting challenges in terms of managing online communities. So I think balancing authenticity or brand image as well as fan interaction is very crucial in maintaining a positive online presence. So these are some of the couple of issues that I came across while I was reading more about technology and the sports industry. So, what do you think are the certain challenges that you would feel that the current industry is facing, or you're facing at Sports Interactive, and how do you intend to overcome them?
Right. So the point that you started off with, skill sets, I think that's going to be there, and it's going to be there in every industry. I don't want to call out very specifically to sport, but yes, there is an increasing awareness of specific talent that you need in today's day and age, like people skilled with machine learning or AIML background, product managers, people that can understand and data and help with data driven decision making. So those would be in demand. And as we are moving towards more and more things on the cloud, automation on the cloud, so a lot of DevOps, which is getting translated to infrastructure as code and being able to do things at scale on the cloud. Those are always going to be challenges that any company would have to deal with. Talking about sport and the kind of business that we are in, right? One of the things that concerns us, or that is a challenge that always need to worry about, would be data security and privacy. Fans and regulators, governing bodies are increasingly concerned about personally identifiable information, which we call as PIIs. And it's upon us as to how do we adhere to those data protection laws and regulations like GDPR to make sure that our fans feel comforted that these things are there by design. So I think one of the challenges that I want to talk about or bring about is data security and privacy, and the solutions to it. Look, it's been a journey for us as well. Ever since GDPR was introduced and other frameworks are going to be introduced, even India will have one soon, is to have these things engineered by design. A lot of awareness that needs to be created within your workforce as well, getting to certifications, etc. So a bunch of solutions to solve this problem or this challenge, so to speak. The other challenge for us in sports tech is scalability and performance. So, the peaks or the volumes that we deal with during live events is pretty high. We are talking about concurrency in millions. Okay, and that's not a normal number. And traditional ways of dealing with traditional architectures don't solve it. And in today's day and age, the user experience and the patience levels for somebody to hit the app or the website, and if it doesn't load, I'm just going to likely move on. Or worse, if it has crashed, or if if the website's gone down or the app's not responding, I probably might never ever visit. And this is a fan who's lost forever. So scalability and performance is the other challenge, and a lot of investment into running everything on the cloud, creating all our architectures to handle scale. It's not thousands. We're not talking about thousands here. I'm talking about millions of concurrent users, and that needs special engineering and specific choices of technologies. And it's been a learning process for us, but we've sort of come to a situation where we are confident with dealing with this kind of volume. And also the performance, which is not having the apps crash, or ensuring that the load times of our screens and pages are fast. So those are challenges that I consider. And the other thing I touched upon was, build versus partner, right? The point I was trying to make even there was, technology, the rate at which it grows, it is not possible that you will end up building everything in house. And at some point, there is a strategic decision making that you will have to do, is who do you want to partner? So for us, while we want to be innovative, while we want to be the ones to do something, it doesn't make sense to reinvent the wheel because the time to market is just going to be that much longer. So yeah, I mean, weighing the benefits of all of these, coming up with quick POCs and failing fast and just determining, hey, you know what, we should invest in this and build this out because no one else is doing it, and we will do them in a much better manner because we are the sports experts. Or look, this all-purpose platform exists, and there's no sense in building one from scratch. So I would say these are three challenges that I think we are faced with time and again, and we figured out our own ways to overcome them.
I completely agree with you, and I think enjoying sports has definitely extended beyond physical boundaries, and definitely technology plays a key role in it. So, having said that, one last question for you, Sanket, would be what are some exciting trends or developments that you probably can foresee in the coming years in the sports tech industry, or how do you envision your company's role in shaping the future of sports entertainment?
Right. So one of the things I'm SI is super excited about is what we call as fanalytics. And let me try and break down what that means. Fanalytics is the underlying science and the study of sports fan behavior, and how do you adapt to ultimately drive personalization at scale. And there are a lot of people that are doing this at this point. So there's a lot of confusion with terminologies and technology providers, and everybody wants the bright and shiny object, which is first party data, CDP, etc., etc. But nobody knows how to use them effectively. But I believe one of the trends that is evolving is, as owned and operated platforms, the stakes in them rise. First party data is going to be obviously that much more important, especially with Google also openly advocating the use of not supporting third party cookies. So there are going to be multiple strategies at play. People would want to understand fan behavior better, and I believe we consider that as a very exciting trend or development in the sports tech space itself, which exists in other industries. But how do we make sense of this vast amount of fan data that is there at our disposal? How do we come up with data-driven decision making to power the experiences of the future? Is going to be one exciting trend. And the other is on the back of generative AI and LLM that we are seeing, the advent of chat GPTs of the world, automated content creation at scale is another exciting trend where we look at chatbots, the kind of conversations that I'm able to have with a machine are really sophisticated now. And it gives me the sense of, hey, I'm talking to somebody who's a friend or maybe a mentor or somebody that I can call even advice. So imagine in the context of sport, I am discussing about what happened in yesterday's match as if I would talk to my friend. And there are other things that these conversations would lead to. So it's going to be a conversation driven experience of the future is going to be a lot of voice based, conversation based interfaces and interactions, because technology has gone on to that level where it is friction free. I don't have to necessarily use my keyboard or my mouse. And it's not just text to speech that I'm talking about, but there's a lot of context and intelligence behind it, which was earlier not possible. So yeah, these are exciting trends that I see influencing not just sports tech, but tech around the world, other industries would be impacted.
Quite fascinating and interesting. And thank you for sharing your vision in terms of how the tech industry, the tech revolution, basically in each industry would benefit. And I think the integration of technology into the stadium experience or fan engagement isn't just a curveball in the game. It's like a whole new league that we are dealing with. From cashless concessions to personalized promotions, technology is transforming fan engagement. And as this is going to keep growing, the role of technology will also become more vital. It has deeply penetrated into the sports industry, and with the advancements in deep learning or computer vision, like you said, or probably even AR or VR, I think we are going to experience more transformation in the sports landscape, which will not only digitize the journeys of fans, but I also feel that will extend to athletes and coaches and teams all over the world. Well, thank you so much, Sanket. It was a pleasure having you with us on our podcast. I think we got to, get more insights and perspectives into sports tech or how sports interactive is basically transforming the fan engagement and experience. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Priya. Pleasure likewise. Take care.
Thank you. So this is for our listeners. Stay tuned for upcoming podcast, and you can view and listen all our previous podcasts on Spotify and other leading platforms. Thank you so much.